And now let me tell you about another virus that China has been spreading. It's called the virus of debt, carried by its Belt and Road project, touted as the greatest plan in modern history to revive global trade. The BRI has been the biggest vehicle for China's checkbook diplomacy. The loans have crippled many poor economies, and now some of them are waking up to this fact. Afghanistan, for instance, and Myanmar, hopefully. First, let me tell you how big China's net is. 138 countries. China claims to have signed agreements with 138 countries under the BRI. Estimates say that the BRI projects will cost over $1 trillion. Why is China running this lending operation? For access and power. Look at this map now. Many of these countries on the map are already drowning in Chinese debt. What's worse, many have not even realized this. But Afghanistan and Myanmar have taken the first step. They are rejecting Chinese loans. China's renewed push in Afghanistan is a curious case because remember, in the beginning, China wanted nothing to do with this country. Ridden by violence, Afghanistan made no business sense. Then Donald Trump came, he talked sense. Then Donald Trump came, he talked about exiting the country, and Beijing sensed an opportunity. Ever since, China has been trying to take CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, into Afghanistan. But Kabul sees the pitfalls. Afghanistan's national debt stands at more than $1.3 billion. And China wants to give it more loans. President Ashraf Ghani says he does not want any of it.
Road is not a grant initiative. It's loans. Afghanistan cannot take loans. We can only take grants.
No loans, only grants, he says. In Myanmar, the Auditor General has cautioned the government against Chinese loans. Myanmar is already busy paying back loans taken during decades of misgovernance under the military junta. But Myanmar is firmly in China's grip. Saying no to Chinese loans will not be easy for them. China is Myanmar's largest lender. China is also Myanmar's biggest trading partner. Myanmar's current national debt stands at $10 billion. And 40% of this debt is already owed to China. From 1988 to 2010, China gave out massive loans to Myanmar. These loans have been coming due since 2018, and Myanmar is paying back a big sum of money, $500 million per year, including principal and 4% interest rate. This is a classic example of China's predatory lending. The Auditor General of Myanmar has pointed this out. Loans from China come at higher interest rates compared to loans from financial institutions like the World Bank or the IMF. He said, and I'm quoting, "I would like to remind government ministries to be more restrained in using Chinese loans." But will the government pay heed to this? In January, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Myanmar's leader Aung San Suu Kyi agreed to speed up projects under the Belt and Road Initiative. This resulted in 33 agreements, from mega power projects to railways. Myanmar has already suffered once. It must not repeat the same mistake again. Let me explain China's game plan, how this operates. Chinese financial institutions lend money for BRI projects. Construction contracts are awarded mostly to Chinese firms. A Chinese company receives much of the proceeds of the loan, the lion's share at least. Projects tend to suffer delays, even cancellations. There are corruption concerns, and the host country ends up with a massive pile of debt. We'll give you an example of what happens if a country fails to repay this debt. Sri Lanka, the Hambantota port. It was built under the Belt and Road Initiative. In December 2017, Sri Lanka handed over the port to China on a 99-year lease. Why? Because Sri Lanka could not repay debt of more than $8 billion owed to China. Sri Lanka saves about $1 billion in debt, but for 100 years, the project will now be Chinese-owned. The Center for Global Development has identified 8 countries that need to say a strong no to Chinese loans. 5 out of these 8 countries are located in Central Asia and South Asia. They have a high debt to GDP ratio. Who is to blame? China.